ability to sell. So in the space that we have, you want to take a buyer to a certain project. Of course, now with the flooding, the transport issues, and also the look and feel of the property that you're selling, then it will affect all that. So you'll find that the property prices will tend to be restrained. Buyers will hold on to purchasing because they feel like maybe the property does not look as good as it would look on a normal day when there are no floods. So it has really affected the speed at which we are able even to sell our properties and the building process.
Now, there's been, some sort of, conversation going on in the country in regards to, the sector being heavily affected by floods. You've talked about, how people probably bought these houses, affected. And you've talked about the impact of the floods in itself from, on, the real estate sector. Now, I want to ask you, as an expert, how was the sector in itself, or what are the lessons that the sector in itself, has learned from the flooding situation here in the country?
Thank you. The biggest lesson is about planning, because when you see the issues that are really affecting the real estate, for instance, even a building coming down, because you have seen that happening. So with proper planning, then some of these things can be avoided. The other thing would be drainage. At the point of conceptualization, just do some proper drainage to ensure that it can handle massive volumes of water. And then elevate your buildings such that, again, people don't suffer the way they have been suffering. We have seen in the news whereby you see the whole basement or even ground floor, water is in the house. So if you look at such issues, then you can, in retrospect, you can ask yourself, the developers of such estates, they would have done better by maybe elevating the building to a higher pedestal. And of course, there's also the issue of now preparing for proper drainage, such that water does not come to residential areas. You can just clear waterways where water can go through and leave residential areas perfectly, such that they are not affected. Yeah, so such initiative will definitely help a big deal in ensuring that such problems that we have faced as a country don't recur. Now,
consumers, buyers of these houses in this context might not really be, in a position to address all these issues, because at the end of the day, they are buying these houses, and most of them were affected with these floods. Now, in assessing whether all those factors have been considered, what would be your advice to those who are or prospective homeowners from in the country who are expecting to buy houses from the real estate sector, in terms of ensuring that you've assessed everything to ascertain that indeed the person who constructed this particular land, or the owner of this particular house or home that you want to buy, did indeed undergo all the due procedure in terms of ensuring that there's proper planning, there's proper drainage. So if I want to buy a house today, and there's a house that has been already constructed, in a bid to avert a situation where homeowners in the country faced with their houses being flooded and all that, what do I need to look at? What do I need to do to ensure that indeed this house was constructed with all the due procedure followed?
In the real estate space, we talk about due diligence, and due diligence. So you just need to do your homework. Number one, make sure that you are buying that house from a reputable company. We know there are so many companies in this field, but just make sure that you are buying from a reputable company. So in this space, you'll also have a lot of referrals. Like, say for instance, the company that I work for, we have been in existence for 15 years. In these 15 years, of course, we have done a lot of business with people. So with this, we have created like a name for ourselves, and you can talk to maybe previous investors who have interacted with us, or maybe any other company that you want to invest with. Find out what other projects have they done before. Even a simple check on the social media, you can be able to see massive information. What is there? What has been indicated there before? Have clients complained in the past about maybe buying projects which have so many other issues? So forget about just the formal due diligence. Even what I'm talking about, just Google, a simple Google search. Who are the previous customers? In terms of contractors, who have they dealt with? What other projects have they done? And this is some of the things that we do ourselves. Like if we are coming up with a new real estate project where we want to build houses, the process of onboarding a contractor, how do we do it? What is the CV? What is the profile of this particular contractor that we are dealing with? What other people have they dealt with? What are the projects that they have completed? And what are the consumers of those projects saying about that? So such things you can never go wrong. Then there's also community engagement. And this will start by even the developer. At the point I'm identifying a piece of land where I want to do my projects. Have I done community engagement? Have I talked to the community around that area? Because those people in the community around where you want to develop, they know a lot, they have a lot of information that you may not see by your naked eye. You can just talk to them. They can tell you that this place is susceptible to flooding. You see, so you're able to prevent it far much earlier, even before it happens. Because again, the problems in real estate, and this is what we have learned, especially in these flooding issues, if you don't handle them timely, then it will be a very big problem. Because imagine you have done a 7-story building, and then you realize that there's something you missed at inception. How do you change that? So that's what I'm talking about. Due diligence and more due diligence, just to ensure that you cannot get wrong at inception stage.
Now, of course, you said you've been, in the industry for 15 years or so. Now, in terms of consumer protection, what can the government do in terms of ensuring that consumers, prospective homeowners are protected from skewed, probably businessmen and women in the sector?
Yes, I think computer protection is anything that people are talking about today, because we need to protect our consumers. But as I speak about consumer protection, I would want to start from what a reputable organization needs to do from their end, because remember, all of us are in business, and you don't want to start a business and you disenfranchise your clients, because like for ourselves, we don't want you just to buy one property. We want this to be a relationship. You have your money, we provide a solution to your investment. So we want this continuity to be there, whereby I don't want just to dip you to buy into a project, then tomorrow you are very disgruntled. You feel like you are conned into making this purchase, and then probably you can feel you are cheated, and then you just say you move on. So for us, we would like first to create that long-term relationship with our clients to ensure that even tomorrow they will consider taking properties from us. But having said that, I agree in the space that we are operating in, there are those people who can just come and create this hype and appear to be bringing a very nice solutions to the investors, but they deliver exactly opposite from that. And that is where now the government comes in to protect the customers. Number one, for instance, if we say when you are doing buildings for sales, and we have seen that in other sectors like banking, whereby you are required to have a minimum level of capital, say 200 million. And this will ensure that whatever project that you are running with, you have adequate capital to see the project end to end, and you'll not just come and pick a few millions from potential investors, and probably you don't even kickstart the project. Number two, and this now touches more on the environment, is and I know NEMA have been doing a very good role, and our WRM is just to come and assess the land where you are doing this project. Just ensure that you tick all the boxes. No riparian land. You are not building on the riparian land. You set a very good space between where you can do your project and where there's likely to be flow of water. Of course, the issue of dams, because most of the developers are also doing some dams in their real estate. Of course, the kind of clients that we are working with, they want some good life, whereby some will say, I want to be at a distance where I can view that dam. And I know for ourselves there is a project we have done where there's a dam. But just make sure that that dam is not a risk to the residents, neither now or even in future. And you just ensure that it has water can come in, water can come out, and properly fenced, strong fence, such that the risk of it like bursting, maybe when the heavy rains, are minimized. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Now, as you know, someone who's been, as a firm that has been in the industry for 15 years, like you say, what would you probably tell, or what would be your advice to not only real estate professionals, but probably some construct a home for himself or herself, in terms of the hitches that happen, or unforeseen circumstances that happen in the process of you building or constructing a house that probably would end up to that project stalling or so?
Yeah. Of course, once you decide to do a project, and when you think of home, what do you think about? It's a place where you go after a long day's work. You just want to go there, relax, stay, and have a good time with your family. And if you look at the number of hours you spend in your house, it's quite enormous. If they advise us that we need to sleep 8 hours in a day, you can imagine if you spend the 8 hours of sleep and also maybe 5 more hours in the house. It's a place you need to be very careful about that particular home. You need to enjoy. It really speaks into your ability to live a very comfortable life, the quality of life. It will start at your home, because that is where you spend most of your hours in a day. So to answer your question about the project stalling, number one, it's about planning. And I believe you are talking about stalling in terms of even the preparation that you plan. Number one, don't go for a very fixed budget. You also need to plan for contingencies, because from what we have learned from this space is that you cannot be very sure about the cost that you are going to incur in that particular building. If you have a budget of say 10 million, don't just have 10 million, please have 12. It will spare you a lot of headaches and heartaches, because like now when the flooding came, and as I said earlier, the expectation is that the cost of the project will go higher, because matters like transportation, the roads have been blocked, you are not able to move materials as fast as you could. In some instances, maybe the contractor leaves sites for one reason or the other because of that issue of transportation. And of course, now with that weather, the materials the cost of materials are likely to go up. Then that issue of doing your background checks to ensure again you don't start and then you stall because of some unforeseen things. When it rains, you find that the level at what you had put your building has been surpassed by the water. So again, you have to redo. Again, community engagement. Let the community that you are working with get as much information about the site that you want to build. They will give you a lot of valuable information. They will tell you that the road that you use to access your project, maybe there is a temporary river. So what happens when it rains? Water will gather in that spot. Again, those issues will come and they will really affect your ability to continue your project as planned. So seek more information, seek a lot of information. There are a lot of experts in this field. Just don't try to cut corners, just work with experts to ensure that you get the place you can call home, the place you can get a lot of comfort as much as possible, and the place you can proudly feel like I did invest in a home and I'm happy and I'm proud of what I invested in, and I'm happy with what I call home.
Now, interesting, because earlier on we talked about flooding, and you've talked again about the issue of rains and all that. Now, how can or what can those in the real estate sector, developers and all that, do to avert future risks in terms of flooding when they are going about the projects?
If you look at this country, it's a very interesting country, and you realize that today we are talking of flooding. Tomorrow we'll be talking of drought. What can we learn from this? Number one, we need to invest in serious water harvesting, because those floods that you are seeing in the streets appearing to be a menace, that is water that can be treated, that is water that can be harvested, and tomorrow it can be used by the population. So number one would be investment, a serious investment in water harvesting. Let's harvest that water, let's create dams, let's create areas where we can cleanse that water for recycling. That water will be used in the next 2 or 3 months when water will not be available in this country. Number two, even before at conceptualization stage, let's create proper drainage systems. There's no shortcut to that, because wisdom dictates that you foresee a problem before it comes. So if you can gauge the environment that you are in, and you can see that maybe you want to create a residential area for a certain number of people, just ensure that you create clear waterways away from the residential areas, such that now once you do the projects that you are in, then the residents will not have challenges in occupying those issues. Of course, we are also talking about green environment. Create some waterways where water can seep, because once the water is on the surface, water will always find a way. So create waterways, create some pavements which can seep water into it. This will prevent you from a lot of challenges in future, and also the issue of harvesting.
Okay, before we talk about green infrastructure, now you've talked about what real estate developers need to do to avert risk of flooding in future. For those that have these projects in place already, and they experienced flooding, what can be done now to ensure that even if we have such a similar situation in future, we cannot face the same effects that we faced, or they faced during this period that the country experienced flooding?
Number one, I think we have passed through a period whereby the rains have been extraordinarily higher, and you cannot totally blame those people who are facing challenges with the flooding right now, because probably in the last few years we have not experienced the level of rains that we have had. But what we do is that now pick those learnings, and when you are planning, plan for even higher volumes of water than what we have experienced now, such that you cannot go wrong. So even those people who are facing floods right now, there are avenues whereby they can help themselves, because with those floods, drainage can always be built, and this calls for even a wider collaboration. So as a project developer, I may need also to work with maybe a neighboring project developer. So much as we are competitors, sometimes we need to come together and collaborate on certain issues. For instance, in my organization that I work for, I know we have various parcels, like we have about 100 acres, say, for instance, somewhere in RUTO. But then you find there could be some slight challenges in drainage. But then you find that problem, you may not be able to resolve it alone. But next to you is also another developer. So it calls for collaboration, teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. So when you work together as a team, you are able to even create channels through which maybe excess water can be drained, and make sure that the larger part of the land will be usable. Of course, when you are talking of riparian sectors where water is passing, just make sure that there's some vegetation there. And how will this help you? It will make sure that erosion will not continue to happen. This will make sure that water does not come to the areas where residents are staying. So those are some of the initiatives that really will help to mitigate issues that can recur when it happens to having floods.
Now, what role do green infrastructure play in reducing the risk of flooding in real estate developments?
Yeah, and that's a very timely question, because we are talking of climate change, and I think this discussion of climate change has been there for quite some time now, and I'm happy that Kenya is actually playing a very big role in climate change. I think in Africa we are like a leader in pushing matters climate change. So we must admit that climate has really changed, and we really need to bring those mitigants to ensure that we don't continue in the wrong side of having these issues like flooding, global warming, whereby you realize that the temperatures are going higher and higher. So as a real estate space, we have a lot we can do in terms of the green environment. And starting with is what I talked about slightly earlier. Create like pavements which can seep water, because if you don't create a channel where water can seep in, then it will definitely create a problem in future. Then you can demarcate your project in terms of, I want to build in this corner, but then I want a green space somewhere where I can plant trees, I can plant grass and such things, such that now water can be channeled through that green area to ensure that, again, water does not come and affect the people who are staying in that environment. You realize that water is a very good resource, and all of us must admit that we cannot stay without water. I'm told that a day somebody should, you find yourself using at least 40 liters of water a day. But the challenge is that now, if that water is not controlled, it now becomes a menace. So that is why now the green environment becomes very important. So with such mitigants that I've just talked about, then it becomes far much easier for developers and also for the consumers of the real estate products that are in the space we provide.
Interesting. I want to ask you something. You've been in the business for 15 years.
Correct, yes.
Why should consumers choose you as an organization?
Yes, I agree. We are many in this space, and this is something that we have accepted. So this is a space that depends to a very great extent on trust. Remember, what are we talking about? We are talking about a house. A house is a long-term investment. You are not going to buy a house today and vacate it tomorrow. It's not like rent, whereby you can stay somewhere for 6 months, and after that you say, I've had enough of this, why don't I try something different? So our business is built on trust, and we find ourselves that we don't even struggle to get more customers, because it's largely a referral business, because I cannot just come on TV and give you some good words and then you just come. It is a relationship that is built over time. So number one, that customer centricity. I'm going to make sure that the product that you get, what I promise, in other words, what we say at my organization is that you dream and then we deliver. So from where you sit, you say you have an idea of, say, the house you want to live in. You come and share that, and I'm happy to say that we have also now entered what we call building on behalf space, whereby you have your money, you have your 10 million, you want a maisonette, a 4-bedroom maisonette, you have a plot where you want that to be built. Then you just call us, we just have that engagement, and then we deliver what you want to have. So what I'm saying is that trust is very important in this space, whereby you have a need, we have a solution, we have a handshake, and then we tailor-make the solution as you want. So that is our biggest proponent that we have, that we give you what you asked for. Number two, you realize that we provide solutions for all our clienteles. You want a high-end property, we are there. Right now we are talking about affordable housing space. You want affordable housing. We also tailor-make something for that. So the key thing to this business is that understand your market. Understand your market. So if I understand your unique needs, I understand your pain points, I tailor-make a solution that will fit into your budget. And after that, everyone lives happily ever after. And after that, then you are able to talk to your friends proudly that you see the house I'm living in, you see the house I've rented out. Who was the partner to deliver this house? It is SIC, Safaricom Investment Cooperative. With that, then it becomes very easy. You don't even struggle. So things just fall in space. So that's the thing. Promise, deliver.
Okay, fair enough. Someone is asking, our property management company is adapting to the strategies to deal with increased flooding risks.
Come again, sir.
How are property management companies adapting their strategies to deal with increased flooding risks?
Yes, that's a big risk, and as we said, it has really affected people. It's affected livelihoods with flooding. No one wants that. No one wants that. I'm called for a meeting. I'm moving from a house. I spend 15-30 minutes, depending on the distance. I'm able to reach where I need to go. I don't want to go and find that I'm not able to leave the house. There's flooding outside my house. Number one is that property managers, they have to create waterways to ensure that water finds a direction. And as I said, water is very stubborn. Fail to create a path for water, it will find a path for itself. Definitely. So fail to deal with that water, you'll find it in your bedroom. And I believe that is some of the challenges people have faced. There was no clear path for water. Then nothing was done about it. Then water will find a way to your bedroom, to your sitting room. And you can wake up. I've seen instances on social media. I don't know where you find that people, you just wake up and you're in a pool of water. So number one, the developers need to create a path where water can pass through. There is no shortcut to that. Number two, let them create water harvesting so that water again can be recycled for use in the future. It can be used for irrigation. It can be used for domestic consumptions. Those houses that are suffering because of flood water, they will still need that water to wash utensils, to take a shower. So that water just need to be harnessed. Let it not come through the door. Let it come through the pipes. Okay. You get? Let it come through the shower. And after that, then that water becomes beneficial to you. So just deal with that water, drainage, harvest that water, treat it, and just recycle it. You reduce the cost of water because you find that even in some estates, they are struggling to supply water to their residents. Just harvest that water, treat it. You have resolved the water issue. Okay. Then, maybe before we proceed, then at the point now for new projects, properly plan for that. Make sure that the properties that you are building, they are elevated, the drainage is sorted from the inception, such that you will not have a problem.
Now, even as we wind up this conversation, there's someone out there who probably is not aware of Safaricom Investment Cooperative. For the sake of such a viewer, kindly explain to them what you guys do, literally, in your day-to-day business. So
SIC, or Safaricom Investment Cooperative, so as I said, we started in 2009, that is 15 years ago. It was a members investment cooperative, largely born from Safaricom staff. That is where the name Safaricom came from. So members or staff of Safaricom decided, why don't we create a vehicle whereby we can invest and have premium returns? So that is how it started. So many years later, it became open to the public. So now, even you can join. Are you a member already, or I just need to? You also.
I'm a prospective
homeowner. You're a prospective homeowner.
I also need convincing from
you also need convincing.
I could be a
correct. Yeah.
Client one day.
Yeah, not one day. Maybe by the time I leave here, maybe you.
Okay, fair enough.
So it started with membership. Currently, we have about 5,000 members, both Safaricom and non-Safaricomers. So the main business is we buy huge chunk of land, subdivide, and then we're able to sell. But we don't just subdivide, because as I said, for us, we don't sell land, we sell value. We don't want you to come and buy a piece of land and you don't even know how you are going to access it. So our basic minimums, whether we are selling a high end or a budget project, is that number one, we must make the projects that we are selling to you, number one, is accessible. That is why when we buy, the number one thing that we do is that we are going to subdivide and create roads to access up to the farthest plot. Number two is that we are going to do a fence. So in some instances, we do even masonry wall. This is just for security, and we want to create that feeling that this is a community. Remember, once you buy that plot, you are not buying alone. Other members are going to buy. So we want to create a community. So we'll do roads, we'll do a fence, and we'll do a gate. So you have one point of entry. What does that talk about us? We are going to create a secure environment for you to live and live as a family. And that's why I'm saying at the inception phase, we try to tailor-make solution to our buyers. We don't sell land. And I know many people talk of selling land. For us, we are selling a solution. You want to buy a place you want to call home tomorrow. Okay. So we just make sure that we create that solution. If it is a house that we are selling, we also make sure that we buy some land, we do quality work, and we rely on you to talk to others because you have felt the goodness of Safaricom investment.
My director is screaming because we're running out of time, but it would be unfair for me if I don't let you give Kenyans platforms where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you can find us our website, sic.co.ke. You can also find us on Twitter, you can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Instagram. So we are all on our social media platforms. In terms of our location, visit our offices, an open door policy, Westcom Point building, at Mairo, 7th floor. You'll find us there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Mbugo, for gracing this particular breakfast show this morning.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, like you've heard, at Safaricom Investment Cooperative, they don't sell you land, they sell you value. Now, that was the conversation surrounding real estate and flooding in the country. We'll come to the end of the morning drift as at now. But remember, during the course of the day, we'll be following up various stories for you, including the President's tour in the United States of America. Today, he'll be flying from Atlanta, Georgia to Washington, D.C. We'll be having various engagements, but of course, most importantly, the congressional meeting before holding a tech roundtable meeting at White House. And tomorrow, of course, he'll be scheduled to have hold bilateral talks with the sitting President of the United States of America, that is Joe Biden. Now, of course, we'll be following up other key stories here in the country apart from the President in the United States of America. But until then, you can visit our website www.lookuptv.co.ke just to get an overview of the stories not only making headlines here in the country but also across the borders. Do have yourself a wonderful day. Do enjoy the rest of our programming, and like always, God bless.